Okay, there we go. Hi everybody. Um, yeah, hi, hello, happy whatever day you're watching this. So I feel like I had something I was gonna say. I don't know. I am gonna create a Remind account. Again, you don't have to join it. I'm not gonna be sending out any info there that you need to know. Anything that's like super, super important, I'll send out on Schoology. Also, probably this weekend, I'll send out the tests, or I'll post the tests. I'll post the tests from last semester. I'll post everything I have this semester. And yeah, multiple choice is kind of the multiple choice, but I'm going to put like every FRQ I have. So just know that like if you do it and you're timing yourself, I'll just make sure that each FRQ says like this is 15 minutes, this is 25 minutes, this is 35 minutes or whatever, because it won't be like, oh, all of them, for, I don't even know what time we would do last semester. So yeah, cool. Also in news of my life, I almost died yesterday. I was heating up some water on the stove and I had a crop top on and I reached over the stove because I have my like spices on the top of the stove. And I didn't even need spices. I was just like moving one because it was out of position. And my shirt caught on fire. And I didn't even notice at first. And then I was like, what's hot? What hurts? And then I looked down and like I was on fire. And I just sort of like with my hand like stomped it out. I think it's important to realize at no point, granted, I mean, this all happened within like a second or something. But I really was surprised afterwards that stop, drop, and roll apparently was not as well ingrained in me as I thought it would have been. So that was surprising. Anyway, ruined my favorite crop top. I have a fairly severe burn on my side. I slept with an ice pack. Yeah. Cannot catch a break. Cannot catch a break. Anyway, let's look at some art. Let's look at some art. Also, in 30 minutes, I'm going to have to pause this because I'm doing laundry and I will have to go switch the laundry over. Not that you needed to know that, but all right. Lecture 30. So we've got three little sub-units in here. Rococo, which people tend to like. I like Rococo. The Enlightenment. Actually, we'll wait till we get, I'll explain when we get to it. And then Neoclassicism. Okay. First, don't write this down. Don't write this down. But I put this together a while ago, like a couple years ago. I mean, honestly, it should have been earlier. It should have, at some point, I should have moved it into the last lecture, but I just never did. And I'm never going to. But it's just a little timeline with the works, some of the works from last unit last lecture, and then the works from this lecture. Just so, I don't know, I feel like maybe someone asked me for this or we were confused or whatever, but look, remember I talked about the War of the Three Henrys, right? Because in the end, Henry IV comes out of this. He was Henry of Navarre. And for the record, there are two Henry IVs. Because right, I actually did the smart thing for like once in my life. I like looked at this slide and I was like, oh, I can't remember if Henry IV was Henry of Navarre or Henry of Lorraine. And so I went to look it up. Normally I forget to do that, but I did it. And it's like, and I look up Henry IV and I just go to Wikipedia because that's what Wikipedia is good for. And it's like Henry IV was King of England in like the 1400s. And I was like, wait a minute. And then I Googled Henry IV of France, and then he came up. So it is Henry of Navarre. But anyway, so right that's where our Rubens piece comes in. Louis the 13th, that's like the Three Musketeers Louis, if you are familiar. Then Louis the 14th, right? That's the guy who was like, I'm the Sun King. And he was like, I'm gonna build whatever. Versailles. Then you get Louis the 15th. Then you get two of our pieces, no, three. And then you get Louis the 16th. He's the one who's executed in the Revolution. He's the one who was married to Marie Antoinette. And sort of like in that time, you have the French Revolution. During or right after the French Revolution, you have our last piece, I think, in this lecture. And like during that time also is Napoleon doing his whole thing. All right, so Rococo. We're getting it. It's happening. The swing. So the swing was made in Paris. Here it is. So, this is our piece that Yinka Shonibare was inspired by and made his own version of. Fragonard. I don't know if there's actually like a very French way to say that. I don't think we care. Do we care today? I don't care. But here it is. So let's first talk a little bit about the era of Rococo. And actually to do that, let's go back a little bit. Okay, so these two pieces, all right, the Fragonard and Vigie Lebrun, these are our Rococo pieces, okay? And they happen right before the Revolution, and that's important, okay? The Rococo era is sort of defined, I would say, really by two things. It has a visual style, okay? But it also has like a content style. It often has similar content or at least like similar themes in the content. So the first thing, and I'm going to show you, a bunch of other Rococos, maybe even not all that. No, I think maybe I only show you Fragonard, but they're all the same. So visually, formally stylistic, okay? Oftentimes uses a lot of pastel colors. So think things that look very Easter-like, right? If you look at this painting, there's a lot of, like her dress is a very pastel-y pink. A lot of, there are some dark greens within here, but the majority of the greens are pretty light in color. And you've got like blues kind of mixed in there. So a very pastel-y, very Eastery, very, I guess Dr. Code, who had my job before me, before he retired, Miss Molina says that he would describe it as, something about noodles. And it never really made sense to me, but I was like, well, what if that makes sense to some kids? I guess like a big bowl full of like cold, I swear it was like cold noodles. I don't know. Now I wish I hadn't started saying this because I can't fully remember what Miss Molina said he said. No, it got really weird. So let's pause for a moment and just pretend I didn't say that. And I'm going to keep explaining it my way. I think it's like an ice cream shop. It's like very like bright, happy, colorful. When you think of ice cream colors don't, except for like weird ice cream colors, they are typically like kind of pastel-y, and like ice cream shops, they're happy places, I like to think. So that's kind of the visual style. Then in terms of content, we're always seeing the aristocrats. Again, that time I actually was so scared I said aristocrats. I didn't. We're always going to be looking at aristocrats, and it's usually them in like some kind of like frivolous activity, or even like kind of morally ambiguous activity. It's never like, here's a painting of, you know, the king signing a new law into law. What? You sign a law into, you sign something into law. Whatever. You know, it's not like, oh, here's poor people. No. So very pastel, very like happy, springy. Yeah, springtime. It's a good thing to think of. And then also like rich people doing rich people shit. That's a good way to think about it. So yeah, our other Rococo painter though, her job, we'll look at her stuff next. She was Marie Antoinette's official portraitist. And so like her stuff oftentimes is like, okay, it's just Marie Antoinette like sitting there with her kids. So I guess that's not like morally ambiguous. But aside from like her doing that in her official role as portraitist, Rococo is going to be very, all the things I just said. Okay, let's move on. So here it is. We've got a lady on a swing. She has kicked her shoe off. How adorable. We have one guy here who seems to be hiding in the bushes. We have another guy here. He's holding strings that are attached to the swing so that like he can be, honestly, this is like ideal. He can just sit and like pull the swing, and then he doesn't have to like stand up and push her. I feel like parents must be like, oh, brilliant. We've got, you know, beautiful scenery. I'll show you a close-up, but there's even, it seems like some kind of building in the background, like a very big fancy building. Where's the dog? Oh, here's the dog. I'll show you a close-up of the dog. Some statues. Okay, what's the next image? Oh, here's how big it is. Oh, nice. Oh, here it is from Frozen. Okay. How is this morally ambiguous? It is. First of all, she's like, oh, well, I cut the other guy out of this close up, but this woman is like on a date essentially with the other guy, the guy who's holding the strings. Okay. And there's something about his clothing apparently that might make him like a preacher. Is that what I mean to say? Like a, you know, not a priest, but the kind of clergy, like a Protestant clergy, so like he could marry, you know, or whatever. I think maybe it's like his hat that's on the bench, whatever, it doesn't matter. And then there's this guy. This is like her secret lover. The guy on the bench doesn't know about this guy in the bush. Okay. And you might be like, okay, I guess that's kind of morally ambiguous, but like, you know, that she's like sort of cheating. But let's take it a step further. She has kicked her shoe off, right? You can see this leg and this leg. Her legs are apart. This is an era where people did not employ the use of underwear. There's just, underwear wasn't a thing, okay? Especially for women, because like, how are you gonna go to the bathroom with like all that dress and stuff? You just like, the idea was like you kind of like hike it up, and I don't know, think about it. But yeah, she is flashing him all her good stuff. I know it looks like she's wearing tights. She's not. She's wearing stockings. So you can even see actually like the garter here. So they're just like knee high, slightly above knee high, like thigh high stockings. So like he is getting, I mean, like look at his face. He's seeing the whole world right now. So like she's cheating and she flashing. We took it a step higher. Morally ambiguous. And like part of this is kind of like, why is she doing this? I mean, I guess maybe that's a really philosophical question about like, why do people cheat? But like the idea here is to kind of emphasize like the moral ambiguity of the upper class at this time, right? This, I mean, you have to remember if you don't know anything about I was gonna say the Russian Revolution. I don't know where that came from. The French Revolution. Like there was a there, you know, it gets worse and worse and worse, and we're right about at the time when like the people in the country were starving, like literally starving, and the like palace's answer was, we'll give them the food that isn't good enough for the soldiers, which basically meant like we'll give them the food that's already started rotting, when you know they were having elaborate parties with like amazing food imported from who knows where, all fancy and like gallivanting around, flashing people, having affairs, just like living it up, and then people are literally dying in the streets, right? So it's not all too surprising that there ends up being a revolution where a big component of it is like killing the aristocracy. So yeah, and so Fragonard is, I mean, part of that aristocracy, not in the same way as these people, but as an artist, he is around it enough and himself high up enough that he sees what's going on. And I guess just also doesn't care about excuse me, the regular people. I don't know what his fate is. I don't know what happens to him. Okay. Oh, hold on, I gotta look at the notes on this. Yeah. Okay. So I've read conflicting what am I saying? Conflicting accounts of if art historians think this is true or not. But this branch right here, here, I'm even going to write it for you. Some people think is blast and bow. Bow is a weird word, so I like to spell it for you. This is like bow, like rockabye baby, right? When the bow breaks, it's a branch. It means branch. So blast and bow is this artistic idea where you use, oops, I thought I was on the highlighter or the laser pointer, where you use a branch to kind of look like lightning. And it's so like part of the reason that people are like, I don't know if that's true in this situation, is that like, what's the point really of that here? And then some people are like, well, it's passion, right? Like, you know, how, I mean, I know we're talking about lightning, but how people are like fireworks for passion. So yeah, maybe I don't have a problem with that interpretation. Not that that matters if I have a problem with it or not, but like, I feel like I've seen art historians be like kind of 50-50 on it. So I think College Board knows about it. So blast and bow. So, you know, this visual sort of symbolic representation of lightning for like passion and fieriness. I don't know. Okay, what else we got? There's poor little, yeah, his like hat on the bench or something is like a what do you call it? Like a reverend's hat, or I don't know what. Look how just like what's my brain stopped. He's so like not unassuming, ignorant, I guess. He's just like, woo, we're having a fun day on this way. Oh no, your shoe. Here's the dog. I freaking love the dog. Now, I know what you're thinking. I honestly, like, maybe one of you is thinking this one. Don't dogs represent fidelity? Yeah. So I don't know what the fuck this dog doing here. Although, like, doesn't he look upset? So maybe that's it. I have no idea. Maybe it's just to show that people had dumb little toy dogs. Toy dogs aren't dumb. They're actually pretty cute, but I wouldn't want one. Not that. Anyway, then you've got these two little Pooty, right? Two little Cupid figures. This thing they're on, I'm sure it is hard to tell. It is a dolphin. Does not look like a dolphin, but it's the same kind of dolphin that our little Cupid was on with Augustus of Prima Porta. It's like people saw dolphins. Dolphins like jump out of the water, but for some reason, maybe artists weren't seeing them. Maybe artists were just hearing descriptions. Although I would be surprised if they never caught dolphins and like brought them ashore. But anyway, artists were not apparently seeing dolphins or babies, although these babies look good. But there it is. That doesn't really mean anything. But this Cupid, he's on the far side. He's going like this. He's going like shh. So this little Cupid, he's in on it. So that's this painting. Ooh, what's common here? Oh, cat hair. Like everything in my apartment. Okay. Remember? Yes, we remember. You know what? It's not exactly time yet, but I'm gonna go. I just remembered I'm gonna try to switch my laundry a little bit early. So I'm gonna pause right here before we remember Yinka Shonobare, and you won't even know. Okay, I'm back. Bert is here. Oh, she leaving? What are you doing, little one? She's done. Okay, my laundry's going. What are you doing? Oh, I know, I washed it. It's drying outside. She's upset. The little fluffy part of her bed I washed. Anyway, let's pick another secret word. How about, since she just made an appearance, Bert. B-E-R-T. Bert. Favorite word number 2 for this week. Bert. All right. Here we go. So remember, Yinka Shonobare was like, y'all are crazy, and colonists, and I hate you. And he's got interesting visual references with the Dutch wax print, right, which is a really interesting fabric because it comes from Indonesia, but is brought by the Dutch, is imported to West Africa, where then it like kind of becomes its own thing. And nowadays people in West Africa, some of them are like, yes, this is like a West African print, and some of them are like, no, this is not. So anyway, her skin color makes her race ambiguous. She doesn't have a head to further that ambiguity, and because all those people got their heads cut off. So cool. Okay, let's move on. Let's look at some other stuff. Here's another Fragonard. So again, very light colors, very happy, springy. You got these two people hanging out. I don't know what they're doing. You didn't get shown a bar. I made a copy. Here's another one. This one always makes me think of Romeo and Juliet because he's like climbing up the balcony. And she's like, oh no, my nursemaid is whatever. Oh, hi, Ernie. You're awake. Staring at me. Okay. I love this one, mostly because of the dress. If you cropped this, you could convince me it was a photograph of like satin. Just so well executed. I mean, unbelievable. But again, right, this stolen kiss, like he's leaving out the door, the like, you know. Ooh. This one's at the Norton Simon, so you could go see it this weekend. I don't know, it's open on the weekend. I'm sure it's a museum. I'm sure it's open on the weekends. This little bird cage she has, the fact that it's like open, has some kind of like, I don't know, go read the didactic at Norton Simon. It tells you all about it, but it's that he like has the bird that's in the bird cage and that the bird cage is open is like something lascivious. I don't know. This one is also at the Norton Simon. I mean, I love Rococo. I gotta tell you, I love it. Do I love the things it stands for? Rich people doing rich people shit? No. But do I think it's beautiful? Yes. Let's move on. God, have we only done one piece? Oh my God. Anyway. A self-portrait. Done in Rome, but the artist is French, and that is actually important to this piece. So that's where Rome is, in case you forgot. So, Elizabeth Louise Vigée-Lebrun. This is the artist who was, I need a bigger desk. I should have taken home the other desk. The one from in front of the couch. Whatever. So she's the one who was the official portraitist for Marie Antoinette. I don't know why, but just like I always think I'm going to say Aristocats, I always think I'm going to say Marie Curie instead of Marie Antoinette. So, yeah, again, one of our few female artists. Now, this is kind of like late Rococo. And the reason she is in Italy, in Rome, is because she had to escape in order not to be killed, right? Marie Antoinette had like seen her work somewhere, you know, she had already been like famous enough that Marie Antoinette could see her stuff, and Marie Antoinette was like, damn, I want you to be my official portraitist. And like, who's gonna say no to that? Like, first of all, you want to be rich. Second of all, like, you gonna say no to the queen? Probably not. And it seems as though they actually had like a really nice and close relationship. And so when the revolution like really started heating up, Marie Antoinette was like, you got to try to get out of here. Like, we're also going to try, but they didn't succeed. Right. And she made it out with her children, I think. But so she painted this like after, or, you know, right at the end of the revolution. And you can see that like in her self-portrait, she's painting Marie Antoinette. Like, that, it's really sad. Marie Antoinette got a bad rap. And I feel strongly about that. I won't go into it. You're welcome. And so this one is a little bit harder to like pin down as Rococo. And it's really kind of only Rococo because like Vigée Lebrun was a Rococo artist. And we're going to have a couple other pieces still in this course where like that ends up being the case. Like Mary Cassatt, she's an impressionist. Well, the piece of hers we get, there's not a whole lot of anything about it that's impressionist, but because we consider her an impressionist artist, we consider the piece an impressionist piece. So same thing here, right? Because like we don't really have these, you know, very light pastel colors. She's wearing like, I can't really tell if it's blue or black, but regardless, a very dark dress with a very bold red ribbon. And the background, it's less pastel and more like almost kind of washed out. So yeah. But there is something still kind of like light and airy about it. I think especially like with her expression. I mean, think about it. She just like left the only place she'd ever lived, an amazing job with someone that she really liked, like escaping for her life. And you gotta remember, she didn't just like hop on a plane. She had to like, I don't even know. Did she take a boat? Did she take a, I still don't know when trains were invented. Not now. No trains. Did she take a cart? I'm never going to live down not knowing when trains were invented and continuously thinking that they've already been invented. It must have been a rough journey, right? And yet, like, she paints herself as kind of carefree and with this like very light expression, sort of like just doing kind of what she loved, painting Marie Antoinette. Oh my gosh, maybe they were lovers. I'm gonna, you know what I should do? I should write historical fiction and just make it all gay. And this will be my first novel. Let me know if you think I can make millions. Anyway, let me know if you'd read that book. So here's a close up on her face. I mean, she does have this, like I said, especially with the face, this like light quality that is kind of reminiscent of the more traditional Rococo. I think this was the part where I was like, I don't know what other close-ups to do. So I don't know. Remember, although like Elizabeth Louise, I want to see that palette. Don't just show me one red brush. I want to see the palette. I love when you see the palette. Okay, yeah, this is really when I was like, what other close-ups? I don't really think we needed close-ups on this, but anyway. Here's some of her other stuff. Okay, so much more kind of Rococo-y. Again, we're not going to see the same kind of like lasciviousness, you know, kind of sluttiness that we're going to see in more traditional Rococo because she's mostly painting Marie Antoinette, and like you're not going to paint her like that. But we get back to this more pastel-y kind of thing. Look at that dress. My goodness, you could hide at least three, I would say at least four people under there. Here she is with her children. I think she had three. I know she had one that died as an infant, and then I think in the end she had, I don't know, it's so sad. If you're interested, the podcast Noble Blood, which is very good, highly recommend, especially if you like death and murder and stuff about royalty, as many of you I'm sure think about. But it was really sad when she was imprisoned. She, like, her son was imprisoned like right across the hall, and she like couldn't see him but she could hear him. Oh, that's okay. Okay, they all died. Here's another self-portrait. I got my palette. Look at that. I love it. What a clean palette also. My goodness, I'm a fan of a messy and a clean palette. Okay, her with her daughter. How precious. Ugh. Not her with a really weird faced kid. I gotta tell you, that kid's face frightens me. All right, the Enlightenment. The Enlightenment is not really an artistic period. Like, I don't think you could pick up like Gardner's Art Through the Ages or whatever. And I don't think there'd be a chapter called like the Enlightenment. Um, or maybe actually there would be. I don't know. I could look, but I don't. That book's heavy. I don't want to pick it up. But what am I getting at? The art we're going to look at right now happens during the Enlightenment. It ends up not really having a period of its own, and it all in some way relates to the Enlightenment. So we're going to talk about it as like art of the Enlightenment. You've done this in Melina's class, I think. I think you've already done this. Ah, yes, the tete-a-tete. Oh, you guys are going to love this one. Okay, so we're in London. Actually, this reminds me. When I set up the Remind, if any of you want to start a group chat about the newest season of Love is Blind, I'm watching it. I'm like 4 or 5 episodes in, and I really need to talk about it. So if anyone is interested, get a little group together and we'll talk about it, because I've got some things to say about a lot of people, mostly that vet and Shane and Shayna. And also Mallory. Oh, cannot believe Mallory. Anyway, the tete-a-tete. You only need to know the tete-a-tete. You don't need to know that it's from Marriage a la Mode. So this is a piece from a series. I'm going to show you every piece in the series because it's kind of like a comic book. It tells a story. Marriage a la Mode. A la mode does not mean with ice cream. Although if you go to a restaurant and you order something a la mode, you will get it with ice cream. It means like of the style, because at some point it was the style to order stuff with ice cream. So, but it just means like of the style, or like sort of the time. So we're going to be looking at a series of paintings about a marriage that was like very common of this era. But what we're seeing is like a criticism of it. So this is like satire. It's a commentary on these types of marriages, which during the Enlightenment become less and less popular. And you're like, what kind of marriage? Yeah, I'm getting to it. Hang on. So this is William Hogarth. And let's get into it. I freaking love this. Okay, we're going to come back to this piece. Okay. So there's a story with this series of, God, you know what? Here's what I need to do. There we go. There we go. I set it up. Okay. We've got a story going on. There's this guy named Lord Squanderfield. Obviously not a real person. And obviously, like, he has squandered away all his money. Okay. He has a title, right? He's a lord. Okay? But they don't have any money. And he has a son. And then there is the wealthy Merchar. No, just kidding. It's merchant, and I accidentally cut it off. So he has money, but doesn't have a title, right? He's not Lord Merchant Man. And he has a daughter. And so these two guys are like, okay, we're going to marry our children to each other, right? And so part of what this is about is like, number one, arranged marriages, but number two, marriages that are not even like, we're not even saying like marriages should only be for true love, but like there should at least, you know, be something, like the people should at least like be able to stand each other, right? Or like the people getting married should feel okay about it. But I mean, you can already see in this little clip of the daughter, she's not happy about it. And so they're marrying the kids so that this family can gain a title and this family can gain money through her dowry, right? Because this is still a time of, I mean, like some cultures still do dowries, but this is a time when like everybody did dowries. And basically that means like when your daughter gets married, she comes with a bunch of money, oops, don't get me started. Okay, so these are the 6 paintings. All right. Ours is number 2, but we're going to go through all of them. I love this. I love these. It's so funny. Okay, so here's Wealthy Merchant. Here's Lord Squanderfield. Here are the 2 kids who are going to get married. Okay. This guy, he's like the lawyer or something who's, helping them decide like the, amount of the dowry or whatever. Such a dark painting. This guy is an architect, okay? And you can see he's like looking out the window at some construction because Lord Squanderfield is like already spending the money he's anticipating getting. He has this family tree here, which you can see starts with a knight. So that shows his lineage and that they have a title. And then the son, it actually looks like he's looking in a mirror. He's not looking at the girl. The girl is crying. She has a handkerchief, and this guy is talking to her and like sort of trying to console her. That guy's name is like Mr. Silvertongue or something. Like the idea, maybe it's just Silverton, but it's like he has a silver tongue. So he's gonna be a major player and he like sweet talks people. You can't really see, although if we go back, you can see it a little bit better, but the son, he's got this big dark spot on his neck. Okay. Again, you can't see it in the close-up. And he actually also has what looks like a little box that he's picking something out of it. So he has syphilis. Give you a minute to absorb that from spot and little box. Yeah, so syphilis was really prevalent at the time. And you could tell if someone had syphilis because they would get these dark sores like on their face, like anywhere on their body. And this is before penicillin, so you couldn't do anything. And the one treatment they had, I kid you not, was mercury. Yeah, you would just eat little pills of mercury, and it could like lessen the symptoms, not the disease itself, but the symptoms of syphilis. But then you would also have mercury poisoning. So like, what are you gonna do? So yeah, so also, fun fact, syphilis eventually typically will affect your brain, and it like eats holes in your brain and you go crazy. So not a cool thing, especially when it's really easily treated with like a couple shots of penicillin nowadays. But still try not to get syphilis because, why do it? Okay, so he's gross. Let's move on. Okay, so now we have ours. I don't remember what is that one called? Oh, the marriage settlement. So ours is the tete-a-tete, right? So they're married now. Okay, they're in their own home. Let's figure out what's happening here. Here's the girl, here's the guy, here's this person, and here's this person. Okay. What close-ups do I have? Let's just start with them. Okay, here's him with his big old syphilis pock, I don't know, sore, whatever. He looks kind of like disheveled. He also looks very tired. Okay. The story is that he was out all night. And he like just got home. It's early morning. But also like this little dog is sniffing at something that seems to be in his pocket, and it's like something frilly lacy. So it is, I don't know, the underwear. Maybe we're still not in the time of underwear, but like the bonnet, some kind of undergarment, garter, stocking, whatever, of a lady. So he's cheating already. And the dog is gonna ruin it for him. I don't know. She has been home all night, but you can see in her hand, she has a little like compact, a little mirror, right, that you can like open and close. And she's like, ooh, stretching. What she's actually doing is signaling, like you can use a mirror to like catch the light. She's signaling to her secret lover who has just left, who has left just in time to not be caught by the husband. And that's why she has that like little smirk on her face. But then there's this guy. Okay. This is their like accountant, right? Like his little thing says ledger. He's got one of those old timey things where you like plop the receipts on, and he's like, I give up, because they are like accumulating debt like nothing. And he's like, I'm done with you. You guys suck. And here are some of the things they're accumulating. These are, it's like tchotchkes. Their mantle is just full of like weird, and this weird lamp with like fish and cats and but just like weird tchotchke shit. And the only like really nice thing is this bust. But also the bust has a broken and then glued back on nose. So like the one thing of value and like artistic worth has been broken, right? And they just like are buying stupid shit. Also, there's a bug. Also, over here, this is in the other room, they have paintings on the walls, and they have what look like 3 saints. But then you see this painting, and you can see someone's foot, but this painting has a curtain in front of it. This is a reclining nude. Okay, so it's a nude woman, and people would do this. They would have these sort of scandalous paintings, but they would have something that if people came over they could cover it, but like it seems so stupid because everyone knew if you just had a little curtain randomly. And but anyway, so they're also buying smutty art or at least he is. All right, here's the next part of the story, the inspection. This is the creepiest part. So here's the son, the husband guy, and he's got his little, I don't have close-ups of any of these, sorry, but he's got his little pill box again, and he's like, I need more mercury. Also, I need mercury for this like apparent child who seems to maybe be a prostitute or something that he has brought here. And she has a little handkerchief that she's like dabbing at her mouth, and in her hand she has a little vial of something, and so it seems like she's putting some kind of ointment on her mouth, like she already is getting sores because she also has syphilis, so like he has basically killed her. And he's at the like apothecary, and the apothecary's wife, who herself has syphilis, you can see the spots on her, and he's like, I need more mercury, please. So fucking creep. The toilette, I wish I spoke French, then I would have a reason to say orangerie and toilette all the time. But anyway, so if you remember from the Arnolfini portrait, we talked about how like it wasn't weird to have people like in your bedroom. So that's not the weird part of this, but like here's the wife, right? And on her chair, again, sorry, I don't have close-ups, but there's like a string of red beads. These are teething beads. I guess people still do this, but they use amber. It's actually really dangerous though. I don't want to like parent shame anybody, but especially if you have it as a necklace, like little babies shouldn't have necklaces. Just like, anyway, like I guess a lot of kids die every year. Get back on track, Julia. But they're having this party, but like where's her husband? That's what's weird. Like her husband isn't here. And Lord Silverton is here, and like he seems to be making himself right at home. All right. Bagno, it's like Italian, I think. It's like, I don't now I can't remember what that means, but anyway, I think it has to do with the fact that they're in this little like motel. But oh no, shit went down, because here's the wife, here's the husband, here's Silverton jumping out the window, because it seems as though the wife and Silvertongue, you can see like fancy dress, mask masquerade stuff on the floor, that they went to like a masquerade ball together and then got a hotel and were like doing it. And then somehow the husband found out and he came with his sword. And here's Silvertongue's sword. And oh my goodness, he bloody because Silvertongue stabbed him and he's gonna die. And she's like, I'm so sorry. First of all, like, you both cheating. Why is he so upset? Don't get me started. And then here's the last one, the lady's death. So her husband is dead. Her lover is also dead because it doesn't matter why you kill someone at this time in England, you will be hanged. And so she poisons herself. You can actually see the poison on the floor, a little vial. And here's her father like taking the rings off her fingers, and she like has just died. And then here's their child, and you can kind of see right there, oh, the child has syphilis. Okay, to be clear, nobody molested this child. The wife must have had syphilis. You can have syphilis and not have these sores, and you can pass syphilis on to your child in childbirth. So there's that child. And then here's the dog eating the food off the table because no one's paying attention. And then here's this little thing that this guy, oh wait, why didn't it switch on the screen? There we go. William Makepeace Thackeray. I don't know, he was some writer. And maybe he's the one who like wrote out the story for this. It doesn't matter. But he has this little thing for the end. Don't listen to evil silver-tongued counselors, right? That's the guy who had the affair with the wife. Don't marry a man for his rank or a woman for her money. Don't frequent foolish auctions and masquerade balls unknown to your husband. Don't have wicked companions abroad and neglect your wife. Otherwise, you will be run through the body, and ruin will ensue, and disgrace and Tyburn. Tyburn is the place in London where they did the hangings. So any reference to Tyburn is a reference to people being hanged. So what's next? Oh, wait. So the whole thing with this series and with this piece is like, it has this message to it, right? And there really isn't anything about it stylistically that makes it any particular style. It's really about the content. Hey, wait a second. I didn't have a slide of the prints of this. So it's a series of paintings, but they also made prints of it. I don't know where that slide went. Oh, that's weird. Anyway, I'm sorry. There were also black and white prints that they made tiny, and so that like it could, you know, like if you have a piece with a message, it makes sense to, you know, if you're going to have it in print or in painting form, to maybe also have it in print form so that you can actually, you know, distribute it widely. So yeah. Okay. A philosopher giving a lecture on the orrery. This might be the last piece we do today. It's a quicker one. So let's do it. We're in Derby, England. That looks like the middle of England. Here it is. So Joseph Wright of Derby, because there was a Joseph Wright of London, I think. So we have to distinguish. But Joseph Wright of Derby, he did this. Don't worry, I'm going to tell you what an orrery is. Don't worry. But this is a cool piece. I really like his stuff. Okay, so here it is. We have a philosopher. Oh, I had a weird moment where I was thinking of something and doesn't matter. I don't think it makes sense. So we have this philosopher guy. I think like if we did something about this today, we would say like professor. Because when we think of philosophy, we think of like this very kind of like meta, very cognitive. That's not even what I want to say. Like when we talk about philosophy, we're talking about like thinking crap. But this guy, he's talking about the planets and shit. So I think we would say like professor. So we've got the professor here, And he's talking about the orrery. This thing, this contraption here is the orrery. Here's how big this is. Okay, it's pretty big. Here's an orrery. So maybe you've seen this. If you watched, oh my God, what was that show on HBO called that they didn't renew? That was so good. Because there was an orrery in it. I bet none of you watched it. None of you watch anything I watch. Oh my God, it'll come to me. It had the guy who now he was in the Loki, like in the last episode. He's like the bad good guy. I don't bad guy. I don't even remember what that guy. I gotta watch that again. Anyway. Oh, I almost had it. It was on the tip of my tongue. Okay, doesn't matter. Here's an orrery. An orrery, God, Julia, focus. Shows you the movement of the planets in the solar system. Solar system. Yeah. I was like, galaxy? Is the solar system and a galaxy the same thing? I don't think so. So at the center, you have the sun. Oftentimes, as is true of the one in our painting, the center will actually have either a light bulb or, for older times, a candle. And then you have on all these like moving discs, the planets. Some of the planets will also, you can kind of see, have moons. And you turn a crank, the crank is right here. You turn a crank and everything moves like the way it moves in real life. And so you can kind of get an understanding of how the solar system works. It's going to really bug me not knowing what that show is called. Anyway, here's our friend, the philosopher. Here are two little kids, right? We have this idea that either, God, what year is this? There are not light bulbs yet. So it's a candle. At least I know when light bulbs were invented. It's the late 1800s. Anyway, we know there's a candle at the center because these kids' faces are lit up. And you can even see like right here, this is another person, right? You can see like a little bit of their face, but their back is to us, the audience. Here you can see what looks like Saturn, right? It's got the rings and it's got some moons. That's real cute. Here's a guy, he's like writing notes down. Here's a young person. Here's this person. You can see like they've kind of got their hand up to like kind of maybe block a little bit of the real brightness of the candle. Here's this guy. Okay, some of these, I need to look at the notes. Some of these people are like friends of Joseph Wright of Derby. Whoop, 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 whoop. Okay. Where are, okay, the guy taking notes, you don't need to know this. Like, you don't need to know that it is Peter Perez Burdett. He was a friend of the artist, and that the guy at the far right, wait, okay, let's just look at the whole thing. I think this guy, oh wait, is this guy sitting? I don't know. One of these two guys might be Washington Shirley, the 5th Earl Ferrers, the initial owner of the work. Oh, okay. Okay, great. Who cares? So, as with our last piece, I don't think I actually explicitly made this point. So our last piece has to do with the Enlightenment, because maybe I kind of said it at the beginning. Tete-a-tete has to do with the Enlightenment because people are starting to change how they think about things, and right, and they're like, stop having these fucking dumb marriages that like end in everybody dying or being destitute, and like have real marriages, or at least like semi-real marriages, right? That's an idea of the Enlightenment. This piece really has to do with the Enlightenment because, you know, during the Enlightenment, a big thing is about like science and reason and like use of like, you know, like empirical data and observation, and how that was seen to be like the best way to, what do they say? Do I have it in my notes? To advance society. That like they're like, we gotta stop being weird and like superstitious and shit, and like let's use science, right? I mean, they're like 100 some years away from getting that light bulb. It's coming up, right? And so I was gonna make a point. Mm. Um, we'll see like in our next little subunit, neoclassicism, they have this thing about like leadership and like heroes, um, and like the moral of paintings being about like good leadership and good heroes and stuff. But for a piece like this, for pieces of the Enlightenment, the moral is more about like the benefit of the pursuit of scientific knowledge. Okay. Now when you look at this piece, okay, so take a second and look at it visually, stylistically. It should remind you of a different art period that we very recently learned about, very recently. So I want you to take a second and think about that. Think about, this should look like other things, and in particular, even one artist that we saw recently. Oops. I want you to think about it. Pause if you need to think more. But it should remind you of Baroque art, specifically Caravaggio, with the use of tenebrism here. And that's not on accident, okay? However, this sort of like furthers this idea of like connection to the Enlightenment, because with someone like Caravaggio, or slash just with Southern or Italian Baroque art. Remember we talked about how like a big part of that was religious art, right? That's where the Pope is, and like they love religion. Well, here we're not looking at religious miracles, but we're looking at like scientific miracles. Right? We're entering into an era where religion essentially will become less important, and science and technology will become more important. So, all right. Here's some of Joseph Wright of I think that's why I like this so much, because I love Baroque art so much that I really like his stuff. But here's another one: 3 persons viewing the Gladiator by candlelight. So they're like, again, you've got this amazing tenebrism going on here. An experiment on a bird in the air pump. Don't want to know what happens. Neither do these two. I mean, there's a bird in a, I don't want to know. But I gotta say, like, especially this woman and this man, you could convince me that's a photograph. The realism, I mean, I don't think you can deny Joseph Wright of Derby's good technique. What am I trying to say? It's so much harder when you guys aren't here to be like, this is the word you want. He's good. He's a good artist. God. The Alchemist in Search of the Philosopher's Stone. This is the unpublished Harry Potter. No. But another the an iron forge, right? We're also seeing like depictions of real people, right? Um, kind of similar to like Hellenistic art, where you see like everyday people, like the people who work in an iron forge are not the, you know, tippy top of high class society. Okay, and then we'll start neoclassicism, but we are, I think, over an hour, although I might have stopped or not stopped the thing, but this is a good place to stop this lecture. Um, so yeah, cool beans. Um, I'm gonna go. What time is it? Oh, it's 5 o'clock. I have a snack. Okay. Oh, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna set up a remind. So let me know if you want to talk about Love is Blind. Okay. Bye.